CIURGE è un partenariato europeo che viene finanziato dal bando Marie Curie ed è un consorzio dottorale dove formiamo giovani ricercatrici e ricercatori allo studio antropologico dell'urgenza climatica. Le università coinvolte sono il Dipartimento di Scienze Politiche e Sociali qui all'Università di Catania, poi c'è l'Università di Leuven in Belgio, l'Università Cattolica di Leuven, l'Università Halle in Germania e l'Università di Uppsala. E abbiamo con noi 10 tra dottorande e dottorandi che svolgeranno per 9 mesi le loro ricerche sul campo e poi faranno decantare queste conoscenze nell'arco dei 3 anni e cercheranno di capire come renderle anche più influenti dal punto di vista della loro capacità di democratizzare gli interventi volti a rallentare o mitigare il cambiamento climatico.
So in my research, I'm interested in the different economic, social, and also political actors in Sicily and how they respond to climate urgency. And the context is that Sicily experienced like years of oil industry, so fossil fuel exploitation. And now I am asking with my project how the actors, like the local actors, how they are working towards an ecological repair in this context. And so my perspective for that one is important that the understanding of energy policies and politics is really important, but it's also like really important for science to focus on the perspectives of the local communities, and that we need to study the popular reception of the energy policies and politics. And I'm like really interested in what kind of counter narratives are circulating today in Sicily. So I'm not only interested in the politics of climate urgency, but I'm like really interested in what kind of future imaginaries are part of the politics. So what I want to say is that I think future and how we imagine a future and how like local communities and local actors are imagining a future for themselves says a lot about how we perceive climate change and also like the politics that are trying to tackle climate change. And I think it's really interesting to look at the discourses, at the actions, and also like the relations that are interwoven in this concept of climate urgency in Sicily.
Ongoing research on agriculture in Sri Lanka and globally indicate the complexity of a changing climate and its impact on human lives. Agriculture is a key determiner of a healthy society, economy, and culture in my country. Over the last decade or more, stakeholders in the agricultural, plantations, and agrarian services sectors have witnessed the varying impacts of climate change, with prolonged droughts, flash floods, landslides, coupled with unpredictable monsoon seasonal changes. Managing future crop production taking into consideration changes in the climate is an important task and a concern. In my research, I hope to closely engage with the farming communities in Sri Lanka to understand their experiences on how they perceive climate change and if there is a sense of urgency to adapt to a changing climate. My main interest is to understand how they are trying to navigate these difficult times and if and how they use traditional water management knowledge when confronting modern technological advances in the fields of agriculture. How do farmers, NGOs, public officials, politicians, agro-entrepreneurs assume, adapt, resist, counterbalance the new expertise and technologies forged by climate-resilient development? Is the framework of so-called climate smartness in agriculture englobed at national and local level? How? And what are the effects?
When the environment is disrupted, the entire sociocultural system can collapse. This underscores the timelines of exploring how climate change is culturally perceived through an anthropological lens. Society in Sri Lanka is a complex web of individuals and groups distinguished by many factors such as class, religion, caste, gender, and language. And last but not least, their political and moral visions about prospects for the future that can differ and collide among each other. In my project, I will try to incorporate climate change in this complexity. My study starts from a focus on anticipation, that means understanding which type of physiological exercises are used to connect future uncertainty with present climate challenges, both in the scientific circuits and societal level at large. This is intriguing because expert knowledge on climate change is still at the early stage in Sri Lanka, and thus experts' trajectories can be traced in their formation pace. How far, instance, are biologically and geotechnology mobilized for anticipating future climate crises in the country? What kind of societal effects and efforts for anticipating climate change have? Is scientific and expert knowledge on the change in climate adopted? Is it restricted or manipulated or diverted? Is it ignored or silenced?
Perché vogliamo studiare l'urgenza climatica? Noi siamo circondati da messaggi e da anche azioni, interventi che comunicano l'idea che esiste il cambiamento climatico e che bisogna rispondere al cambiamento climatico in modo tempestivo, no? Con azioni radicali, che bisogna agire subito e in maniera drastica. Però spesso abbiamo poco tempo per capire come questi messaggi e queste narrazioni intorno all'urgenza, al fatto di intervenire in modo urgente, vengono recepite a livello locale e globale. Ci urge, ricorrendo alle scienze sociali, anzi facendo delle scienze sociali un volano per entrare nel vivo delle dimensioni più antropologiche del cambiamento climatico, vuole capire proprio come viene agita l'urgenza climatica, come viene immaginata, pensata, proposta, applicata in diversi contesti del mondo.